Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome to University of Education, Department of English. I am Numan Khalid. Our course title is 19th Century English Novel, Program BS, and our course code is ENGL 3114. Guys, as you know, our topic of concern is the beautiful and most famous novel of Charles Dickens, Great Expectation. In the previous lecture, we discussed the rules and the functions or objectives of Dickens' novel, and as we discussed earlier, the whole novel is divided into three parts. In the previous lecture, I'll discuss first part of the novel, that is related to the main protagonist of the novel, Pip, the whole incidents, the themes, analysis, important incidents, and as well as the important perspectives regarding to part 1. Now in this lecture we discuss the part 2 and part 3. Part 2 deal the chapters from 20th to 39th, while part 3 deals with the chapter 40 to 59. Now students, see firstly about the part 2, which incidents involved in this part, what are the basics, examples, analysis and critical commentary or themes which are present in this part, and next we will discuss the part 3. Students, these are some objectives while you read a novel. These objectives should be kept in mind, so in that case all your complexities, your ambiguities and your questions will be clear after you get these objectives in your mind. So our first objective is to give students a general overview of the novel's plot. Firstly, the plot of the novel. As you know, the plot is the complete sequence of the whole story on which the novel is based. Firstly, students know how about the characters which involve in the novel, and secondly the plot in which the whole story moves step by step. After you understand the plot and characteristics of novel, you will able to understand the whole novel in detail. Secondly, to critically analyze important points from the text. The novel is written in text form. There are some critical commentary and critically analysis of the following text. If you critically analyze, if you firstly understand the whole novel, then you are able to critically analyze the following points which are present in the novel. Third one is to discuss text from different theoretical angles, from different theories, from different perspective. You discuss the whole novel, and after from different perspective you are able to understand the whole novel. Fourth one is to highlight different literary techniques used by the author. We can say that here some literary devices in which we give some quote some example. We use a symbol, use symbolism, imagery, simile, metaphor, or personification. These techniques are used by the author or a writer in the novel, so that is why it is easily to understand the concept written behind these novels. Fifth one is about develop cognitive and critical thinking by analyzing a variety of text. Critical thinking, if the student have critical point of view, then he is able to understand about the whole novel. To learn core aesthetic of the fictions. What is fiction? What is the basic themes behind fiction? If you understand the whole aesthetic of fiction, you are able to cope this issue. Our next objective is to learn to analyze the fictions. Your analysis is very much important after reading the following novel or following part of the fiction. If you are not able to analyze the following text, you are not able to understand the following fictions. Next point is about the comprehend listening material and develop listening skill. Next is reflect on their own learning, and last one is about develop their intellectual independence through analytical activities. These are students some objective while you read a piece of fiction, and if you understand all these objectives, you are able to understand the whole story, or you can understand the plot of the following novel. In this slide, student, as you look, our second part is from chapter number 20 to chapter number 39. Start of the second part is once again Dickens is using place and Pip's attitude toward it as a symbolism. In this case, London is the setting for Pip's great expectation, but immediately we find it rather ugly, unnatural, and suffocating, giving us an indication of how those great expectations may be played out. In the following lines, Dickens used two type of things. First one is place and second one is attitude as a symbols. London is used as a place, and while after he is setting in London, Pip's attitude is changed due to some dealings. In the third point, though Pip grew up in what might be considered a rural poverty, his new digs in the city seem much more poor in nature than the warmth of the forge. The only warm spot appears to be Herbert, whom Pip he had first met under strange and violent circumstances. Here is another character, Mr. Herbert. It is basically a young gentleman who is Pip's roommate in London, and also he is a close friend of Pip. Students, here the theme which is introduced in the part second, the theme of meal. The theme of meal as the reflection of human companionship again returns in these chapters. The meal prepared by Herbert is simple and the table setting is balanced on a number of pieces of furniture, clearly showing it is as a non-traditional setup. And yet Pip enjoys himself immensely and feel that Herbert, despite the fact that he may have lost favor in Miss Havisham eyes. Students, basically the theme of meal here has symbolic meanings. First of all, I read some line. Eating and drinking are valued by Dickens as proofs of sociability and ceremonies of love. Basically, eating and drinking, according to Dickens, proves that eating and drinking shows sociabilities and ceremonies of loves. If people eat and drink together, it shows our social lifestyles and our love ceremonies. Throughout the novel, Great Expectation, numerous meals which have symbolic reasons repeatedly take place. Firstly, firstly, they are indeed ceremony of love or dark manifestation of the absence of love. Next, the motive of the meal also symbolize power. So here you can see that it represents firstly as the love. Secondly, it also represent as power. And power, so you can easily understand that the theme of meal is very much important for human companionship. In these sections, Dickens also criticized on English society. Here we can see that Dickens pointedly in making two criticism here aimed at English society. The first is the humorous critique of English obsession with titles in their class system. First, he criticized on their class system, how the upper class and the lower class deal with each other. Secondly, Mrs. Pocket is in fact so caught up in titles that she spent her whole day reading a book about them. She just pretend that she is very learned person, but actually our writer criticized Mrs. Pocket that he shows that he has a craze to read a book. So she tried to pretend that she always busy in reading books and so on. She is also caught up in the class system in complete oblivion to what is going on around her. Firstly, he pretend she is so bookish. Secondly, she is caught in a class system. And thirdly, she is actually raised, Pip find out, to be utterly useless to be taken care of. That is about how Dickens criticized the English society. The second criticism is Dickens continuing them of child abuse and the many ways in which children are oppressed and marginalized. Second criticism on that society is about the child abuse, how child treated so badly in that time, in that age. As we move in next slide, you can see that in the Pocket family, the children are not necessarily physically abused, though their lives appear in danger sometime from lack of supervision or underfed or made to work, but there seemed to be psychological abuse by their mere numbers. In that family, children are physically abused in the form of meal, in the form of verb, or we can say that there is some psychological abuse which is the factor of child's abuse. The parents, Matthew and Mrs. Pocket, have little to no time for decent rearing of the children. Dickens humorously used Wemmick to show how conforming to the society in case Wemmick job at Jaggers can twist a person so much as to make them unidentifiable. Mr. Wemmick is basically a clerk in Mr. Jaggers' office. Mr. Jaggers is Pip's guardian, and as well as Mrs. Havisham Liar. So it is almost as if Wemmick private and life and public life have made him a split personality. The one a grim clerk with a dry gloominess, the others an imaginative, caring, generous, aesthetic. Literally, Wemmick home is his castle, and Wemmick talks in terms of defending his private home against the encroachment of the hard city life. Pip's meal there, complete with the customary cannon firing, continues the thematic use of meals with a series that introduces part 2 of the novel. In this meal, Pip is brought to understand the entertaining imagination as well as the caring humanity of an acquaintance whom he presumed with a dull clog in the city machine. If we move in structure level, we can see structurally this series of brief quick chapters inaugurates the second phase of Great Expectation, marked by Pip's receiving his new fortune and his move from Kent to London. Secondly, Pip moves to London mark a drastic shift of setting for the second main section of the Great Expectation. His movement toward London is basically the start of the second part. Away from this desolate marshes of Kent and into the teeming crowd of the city. One of the first things Pip sees after the arrival in London is the terrible gallows of Newgate Prison, which give Pip a skinning idea of London. In the novel, that places so much emphasis on the relationship between character as well as on setting of the novel. Here is the momentum of the Dickens plot. The story explains the main mystery of Mrs. Havisham's life, which was implied by her surroundings and her behavior much earlier in the novel. It answers many of Pip's questions about her but raises much more. First question is about who were the criminal who preyed on her and what became of them. Second question is what is Estella history and how is she related to Mrs. Havisham? These are two questions which moves Dickens' plot further. Although Pip continues to make decisions based on how he thinks society wants him to act, not going to see Joe and Biddy while he is home, we recognize the fact that he feels guilt and shame about these some decisions. These two decisions are always move in his mind, and when he think about that, the society pressurize him. First decision is society want him to act. Secondly, going to see Mrs. Joe and Biddy at while who is at home, who is his home, who look after Mr. Pip. Joe is basically his sister husband, and he treated him like his own son. But we could recognize that after he thinking about these two decisions, he just feels guilt and shame about making some decision. Unlike Estella, Pip seemed to wear his guilt on his sleeves, but his guilt shows him to have a conscience at least. Dickens uses guilt in Pip, who seems to be the only one in the novel who experiences it, to signal moment when Pip feels himself acting against his nature. Dickens presents a light-hearted critique of overacted theatre in this chapter. Dickens was an actor and a producer of theatrical production himself, and there is no doubt he was probably targeting certain actor that he knew personally in this parody. Dickens is basically creator or producer of the character through which he represents the whole incidents happening in the society. Just like a protagonist Pip, he represents the three phases of the life. First one is early childhood, second one is youthful, and third when he experiences a lot from the life. So in that sense, we can say that Dickens is also an actor as well as the producer. As an actor, basically it is an autobiographical novel, and it is totally befitted on Dickens himself, and he presents Pip as himself. Pip, on the other hand, is also trapped and cannot freely choose. But his lack of independence is wholly his own fault. Pip is not free to follow his own devices because he has trapped himself in how he thinks he need to act, think and feel. He believes himself to have great expectation among these. Someday the hand of Astilla, and this belief has forced him into acting a certain way, feeling a certain. Here you can see that Pip is trapped in his himself, and these questions always move in his mind, that how he thinks he need to act, to think, to feel, to pretend. He has also the great expectation which he believe himself. He also have lack of independence which is his fault, and he is not easily freely to choose what he want to choose. Pip makes clear in journal he is not happy with his lifestyle, what he pretend, what actually his lifestyle. You can say that he is a puppet in the hand of someone. He is not happy with this state of mind, feeling guilty about Joe and Betty, nor with his day to day life as a young gentleman about a town. As you know, in that part, he grew up a young gentleman, but he is not happy with his mentality, his state of mind, and in that case, he feels guilty about Joe and Pity. A symbol of emptiness he feels with being a gentleman around town is indicated by his joining a man's club called Finches of the Grove. There is emptiness in his mind about he feels that he is the only gentleman in the whole territory or the whole in the town, and that emptiness always moving in his mind, and in that case he is not happy in that such stage of a mind. The group of meets over dinner, argues, and get drunk, and narrator Pip does not represent the group of young gentlemen enough to even introduce their names. The only true friend Pip has met in Herbert, and Pip feels that he is betraying even that relationship by living the high life with a man who cannot afford it. The chapter reinforces what the reader already know about Pip. He has chosen a lifestyle which alienates himself from the people he loves and even alienates him from the true self. Here the point of maturation comes when Mrs. Joe raised Pip, and her death mark on an important point in his maturation toward adulthood and the development of his character. He tries to rectify his behavior toward his lower class loved ones, but they are skeptical of his promises to improve, and with good reason. Here we compare the two characters, Pip and Mr. Herbert. You can see here a line. Another important contrast to Pip in this section is Mr. Herbert, whose practical dream of becoming a merchant, earning money, and marrying Clara is virtually the opposite of Pip's fairy tale rise in status and his irrational belief that Mrs. Havisham mean for him to marry Estella. First of all, we'll look toward these two characters, Mr. Pip, who is the narrator of the whole story, and Mr. Herbert, who is basically a roommate of Pip. First of all, Mr. Pip, who is the hero of the novel. He is basically narrator, hero of the story, a good fellow with hesitation, boldness and actions and dreaming mixed in him. The novel traces the growth of mind of its hero, although it introduces a multitude of other characters as well. The novelist gave us a peep into the inner mental state of Pip at different time in his career. Here basically Pip is the hero of the novel, and writer discussed the three stages of the protagonist in the whole novel. You can see it in part 1, part 2 and part 3 as well. And we move to Mr. Herbert. Basically, Mr. Herbert is first introduced to us as a pale young gentleman. And where is he work? At the Satis house, Mrs. Havisham house. He is distant relative to Mrs. Havisham. Without any rhyme or reason, he challenges Pip to a fight. Pip gives him good thrashing as easily floor him. Herbert is a sincere, a loyal friend and help Pip at critical time in his career. He is good natured man. He also shares with Pip his own thoughts and talk freely to him of his plan for the future. He is also optimistic by nature and has high expectation of his future. And he tells also about his future plans, and he has hope that he'll earn a lot of money after becoming a merchant, and after he becoming a merchant he marrying Mrs. Clara. So guys, I think so you understand about a little bit intro about Pips and Mr. Herbert character. Here is the entry of the convict, the reappearance of the convict, and the solution of the mystery of the Pips benefactors mark an important milestone in the book narrative development. Appropriately, the second important stage of the novel conclude at the end of this section. We are told here this is the end of the second stage of the Pip exceptions. Basically, in this section, we talk about the benefactor whom Pip helped. In the first part, Pip meets a convict. He gave him something to eat and drink. So after giving him this, the convict do so much for Pip, and by the passage of the time the convict again rearrested, and in the second stage of the novel the whole story conclude that this is the end of the second stage of the Pip expectation. The chapter closing, the second part of the novel closing as well, Pip great expectation. The irony that convict lived his life for Pip, work his fingers to bone to make Pip a gentleman. He did this based on the true act of kindness that Pip demonstrated when he gave the convict victual to eat in the marshes. Now we can conclude the second part of the novel. The second stage of the novel is that in the second stage of Pip life take place in London, where he become friend with Mr. Herbert Pocket. Start as the second stage start, Pip become the friend of Mr. Herbert as he went to London. The two young men live beyond their means and fall deeply in debt. Pip also makes friends with Mr. Jacker's clerk, Mr. Wemmick, and enjoy visiting him at his castle. Another factor, Pip is also told the background of Mrs. Havisham and her ill-fated wedding day. He also is embarrassed by a visit from Joe. Another factor, an unexpected visit from the convict revealed that the convict, not Mrs. Havisham, is his benefactor. The man's name is Mr. Magwitch. He is the one whom Pip had brought food in the churchyard. This knowledge began the change in Pip's from ungrateful snobbery to the humility associated with Joe and home. Students, that is basically the end of part second, or we can say that that is the end of the protagonist Mr. Pip second stage of life. It is basically the stage where Pip went to London. Guys, hope you understand the whole story, the whole critical commentary analysis of the stage 2, and you can easily cope the relevant questions which are happening in this stage. Now guys, move to the last stage, which is the part 3, and it is from chapter number 40 to 59, and in this chapter all the remaining mysteries of the novel is solved. Now students, let us see what happening in this chapter. Students, in the third part and last stage of the novel, you can see here in this given slide, Pip is closer to Mr. Magwitch than he knows, since they both base the value of people on societally structured hierarchies. Basically, Magwitch is the Pip's benefactors, and as well as he is father of Estella. Its complete name is Mr. Abel Magwitch. Next point is about Pip still believes that one value is decided by the class one is born or adopt into. Because he thinks of Magwitch as the lowest of the low, he thinks himself the lowest of the low because of his association with him. Pip is basically, we can say that Mr. Magwitch and Pip's mentality relate in some way. As you see in the second point, Magwitch thinks as the lowest of the low, and also Pip also thinks, which Magwitch thinks lowest as the lowest, because both of them have mental association with each other. Magwitch does not see it this way. Instead, he believes that the amount of money you have and how ostentationnally you spend it is what give one value. Thus, he spent of his life working for money to make a poor blacksmith boy a gentleman. You can see that Mr. Magwitch is the person who make this boy named Pip, who work as a poor blacksmith boy, a gentleman after when he moved to London. And in the last part, whole mystery is disclosed, and you can see that Pip now become a gentleman of London. The readers has been shown very few moments when young Pip has been happy. Pip was unhappy even when he should have been happy during his apprenticeship with Joe, and continued to be unhappy even when great expectations were announced for him. Now a great mystery has been solved in the way of appearance of Pip's benefactors, and Pip is once again unhappy. We notice, however, that Pip is unhappy not so much because of his circumstances, but because of how he views those circumstances. As we move further, you can see that the whole story conclude, and you can see that a feeling of happiness and feeling of unhappiness appears in Pip's mind and Pip's personality. Pip is justifiably angry at both Mrs. Havisham and Estella, though he forgives them both without them even asking, because he realizes it was his own folly that brought him to unreal expectation. Secondly, Estella's and Mrs. Havisham have vastly different reactions to Pip breakdown in front of them. Mrs. Havisham appeared to be touched finally, and Pip's broken heart strikes a chord in her own heart. Estella, on the other hand, appears amazed at the show of emotions and does not seem to understand it. She is not angry. She is curious, and she really does not know what is mean to love as Pip is now loving her. Their reaction may also be an indication of culpability, in the sense of that some characters are more guilty of their sin than others because of the level consciousness in their reactions. Basically, Estella is the adopted daughter of Mrs. Havisham, who marries Mr. Bentley. As you see, things are coming together quickly in the next few chapters. Pip is learning mysteries that have been unknown since the beginning of the novel. At the same time, the suspense is growing because there is a sense that all of the subplots are going to collide soon. You can see in these slides the things which are mysteries in the beginning, they all are going to conclude, and all the subplots that are also collide soon. And in that sense, you clearly understand what actually happened in the whole novel. The rhythm of the novel and its subplot, the introduction of the mystery event, their explanation, and the reaction of these explanations by various characters lends itself well to the series of genre in which the story and all of Dickens' novels were first published. You can see that there is part rhythm of novels, its subplots is introductory, mysterious events, their explanation, their reactions, and their explanation by the various characters all lead to Dickens' novel, which was first published here. You can see here the theme of repentance and forgiveness is the common theme among the relationship in the novel, and it is interesting to see the instances where forgiveness is given and where it is refused. We are remain to Mrs. Joe, last word to Joe, seeming to imply a request for forgiveness for her action toward he and Pip. As you know, the look after of Pip's when he was child, Mr. and Mrs. Joe both were, you can say that, her parents. Actually, Joe, Miss Joe and Mrs. Joe. Mrs. Joe is basically Pip's sister, and Mr. Joe is his sister husband. But the relationship of Mr. Joe is very good to Pip, but Mrs. Joe relationship is not good in some senses. But at the last, as we see this theme of forgiveness, Mrs. Joe's last word to her husband, that she requests Pip, his brother, and his husband to forgive him all he did, all she done with them. She completely repent on what he did with Pip and his husband. Mrs. Havisham is asking for forgiveness from Pip for having been a part of breaking his heart. Pip immediately forgives, but believes her to have been much more of disservice to herself and to Estella in her action. Mrs. Havisham request for forgiveness, of course, reminds Pip of his own need to reconcile and ask for forgiveness from Joe and Biddy and his treatment of them. Students, here is the time where two plot lines turning into one. Magwitch's story of campaign is also causes the two plot lines that he divined Pip life, that the convict and that of Miss Havisham and Estella, to collapse into one other one. This means that the word of Pip's secret guilt and the word of his highest aspiration share a common history. Here is the class differences. The story of compassion also highlight the theme of class differences that has runs throughout the novel. Compassion is basically fiancé who jilted Mrs. Havisham, and he is also the partner with Mr. Abel Magwitch and Arthur in illegal dealing. Magwitch is a low-born orphan, but Campion is the educated, as Magwitch say, he is set up for a gentleman than Compassion. He was a smooth one to talk and was daft at the ways of gentle folks. As a result, Compassion was able to negotiate a light sentence at his trial, while the rough-edged Magwitch received a heavier one. Here is the change of power dynamics. The original dynamic between the two, with Miss Havisham as the manic, powerful old woman and the Pip, the covering child, is completely reversed. When Miss Havisham dropped to her knees before Pip, crying, "What have I done? What have I done?" Here you can see that his power in rise in the previous chapter, rise down in that chapter in the last section, and you can say Pip drop to her knees and crying in front of Pip too, and continuously say, "What have I done? What have I done?" Here is the complete adulthood, the trip down the Thames, and Magwitch highlights the extent to which Pip has grown throughout the novel. The nervous, ambivalent child is now an adult confident in his action, shepherding the once terrifying Magwitch toward freedom. Here you can see that Pip is now growing. His complete adultness is now in this section, and you can see that he is complete man. Here the sense of justice, the strict sense of justice that guides the novel, demands that any sinful character will either be redeemed or come to bad end. Pip is redeemed by his newfound love for his secret benefactor. Magwitch is redeemed by his inner nobility and love for Pip, and Mrs. Havisham is redeemed by his repentance. Though Magwitch and Mrs. Havisham die, they die at peace, while Compassion simply disappear and Mr. Orlick will be dragged to the prison. Ending. The way in which Magwitch dies is the testament to his inner strength, and Pip's behavior immediately before Magwitch's death is a sign of his newfound love for the convict. Though Wemmick comic wedding and Herbert's joyous engagement lighten the mood of the tragedy, in these concluding chapters, it is the manner of Magwitch's death, uncomplaining, believing death to be reward of God's forgiveness, that render his life a victory. The sunrise, the morning of the escape attempt did not foretell a successful ending to Magwitch's escape attempt, but instead foreshadow his redemption in death. Guys, you can see that in the last stage, which is the third stage in Pip life, solves all the remaining mysteries of the novel. Compassion, the second convict who was Magwitch's enemy, is drawn when Pip tries to aid Magwitch in his escape from London. Pip finds out who Estella's mother and father are. Pip is rescued from Orlick, Magwitch dies in prison, and Pip becomes a clerk in Cairo with Herbert. He returns 11 years later and finds Estella at the site of the Satis house. The more popular ending indicates that they stayed together. So, guys, that is basically the end of the beautiful novel by Mr. Charles Dickens, and you can say that it is basically a Victorian novel, and is basically in England. There was reigned by Queen Victoria, who ruled for nearly 60 years. You can say there is the changed period. There is industrial revolution, and through industrial revolution the whole world changed. Victorian literature was another revolution, replacing the romantic literature of the past that has romanticized the upper classes. Victorian literature was written for people. Magazines became very popular with English people, to all classes of reader. The popular magazines provided an outlet for many writers who wrote their novels in mouth to mouth section, much like serials. Guys, the pressure of the social problems tends to create a new awareness of an interest in human being and relationship. Thus, characterization become dominant quality in literature. That's all about the great novel by Charles Dickens. I hope you all understand the three phases of the protagonist Pip. Thank you very much for listening it. Stay blessed and Allah Hafiz.